Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Ape Escape 2. In the last part, if memory serves, we started off the post-game and got through a lot of the re-clearing of monkeys in order to get 100%, and now we're gonna go largely finish off the backtracking into levels for monkeys, at least. There's something else we'll be talking about down the line, but that's then. And this is now.
Yup. We're going back and collecting all the monkeys. Because the way that they do this is that you can't collect all the monkeys on a first playthrough.
Yeah, and I believe we brought this up last time. 1 and 2 are very sloppy about how they handle this just due to the existence of the magic punch. And they really do fix how they handle that, at least with the amounts of them in 3. Mind you, it could just be the bias towards 3 for both of us that just makes us prefer how that game handles a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but like, the other two do have their charms. I know we've probably talked about that too.
Like, it's interesting thinking about it. A lot of, particularly PS1 and 2 major IPs, like, their first games are usually good. The second game introduces a lot of cool ideas, but usually makes some weird backtracks. And then the third game is just universally almost the favorite. Because that's Crash, that's Spyro, that's this, that's Jack, that's Ratchet and Clank, I think, as well.
The only series I feel like it doesn't really apply to is Sly Cooper. Because I think second is the universally loved one.
Yeah, like, even as someone whose favorite is Sly 3, that's largely for other nostalgic reasons, because I'll talk about this when I eventually LP that. I guess we, technically. Sly 3 was my first PS2 game.
Also, with that statement too, feels almost like Disney's movie sequels, huh?
Yeah! Hi, Cinderella. God, that third movie is unhinged.
It really is.
There are some sections we're going to be seeing, like in the previous video, that are completely new. For this level in particular, it's this version of the jet ski sections. Largely the best place to wait for monkeys is either right where I am right now or over by the machine on the far distance, as that's where they'll hop out and start moving from again. Actually, on that note, do you remember what your first PS2 game was?
My first PS2 game was Kingdom Hearts.
Yes, good.
Because I remember it specifically because that was actually when I got the PS2 for the first time. It was it was like a combo gift. Because I knew a lot of my friends at the time had PS2s and Kingdom Hearts, and I got really into it, and that was like a Christmas present that year.
Exact same deal here with Sly 3. Did your parents remember to get you a memory card?
Yes, they did.
God, I wish that were me. I had to redo the Venice chapter like 4 times that week.
Hey, at least you knew it like the back of your hand.
I did. I got really good at that rhythm minigame. With that said, Bentley going, "Wah," is stuck in my head.
It's so off tune, but it's so funny.
It is really weird thinking back through, like, the consoles I've had over the years and just thinking, like, the stretch of the quality of some of the games I had first with it. Like, I think I brought this up when I LP'd this game in particular. My first GBA game was Nightmare in Dreamland. DS was Spectrobes. 3DS was Street Fighter 5 3D, or 4 3D.
Ooh.
Which, I've talked about before, that version of that game was funny because they allowed you to map, what's it called? Special moves to the touchscreen to just use them instantly. Guile was broken because of that, because you didn't have to charge for flash kicks. You were about to say I interrupted you for a second there.
Oh, no, it's all good.
If you're wondering why we're not talking about the game at this point, by the way, I'm too much. Like, we brought it up last time. A lot of this is just backtracking through prior areas. Mm-hmm. It's not until, like, the last few levels that you see a lot of cool new stuff, but even then, that's largely because the monkey tallies got so high for the amount of monkeys there's just entire chunks of the levels we didn't see. Because a lot of the early ones are just, alright, here's this room over here.
Yeah, it's like only with, like, certain gadgets you're even able to access some of the new areas. And Yeah, it is essentially a lot of backtracking until we get to Spectre again.
Yeah, I guess also a weird kind of thing with it, too. The arc of the new areas is weird because the early game levels, you have so many more tools than you did the first time around. But then by end game, it's like, alright, you have one extra tool that allows you to go over here. So while the levels get longer, you also start to see less new stuff along the way.
Kind of makes backtracking a little bit of a pain.
Yeah. And, like, I'm never going to say backtracking can't work. I'm a Metroid fan.
Oh,
it's just
no.
that sometimes the way games handle it is sloppy.
No. I wouldn't say this is handled sloppy in terms of backtracking, because I found, like, going through the levels, like, pretty fun and not too hard. But, like, I could see why some people wouldn't be overly fond of it.
I think what Ape Escape benefits from in cases like this is... It is weirdly arcade-like at times with how its level design can get for how fast you can go through it. So if you're really good at platforming, you can just make a route to get through things super quickly. But it does have the added effect of, for other players, just leading into less... A lot of the same thing you've already been through again with less to do along the way because you've already caught all the monkeys. If memory serves, that's actually a step I think Ape Escape 3 sort of fixes by repopulating the levels a little bit more.
Yeah, well... Oh, the professor, man after my own heart.
Damn right.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if memory serves, that is the way Ape Escape 3 works, and, like, plus there were some areas that were completely blocked off until you beat the game.
Yeah. It helps as well that when you have to do the revisits in 3, I'll bet you this is going to be weird to commentate over when we eventually get to that. You also have to redo the boss fights? Why am I pausing for that long? That's interesting. Oh, wait, I know what happened. I think I got a phone call. If memory serves, it was either my family calling to be like, hey, we're stopping by this restaurant on the way home, what do you want? Or it was a, we'd like to call you about your car's extended warranty. And I'm like, I don't own a car. Bonk.
Man, that is a bold monkey hiding behind his own wanted sign.
I have to wonder, is there like just a secret doorknob there? Did he get pasted in there by another monkey so he was just living out the rest of his days in there? Kind of cruel when you think about it, but mind you, I guess nothing about the monkeys in this series exactly ever comes across as well-intentioned for the lives of each other.
True.
Some of these monkeys are out for blood with each other.
True, very true. And what you were saying, in Ape Escape 3, yeah, that is true, that you do have to fight all the bosses again. Because basically similar thing happens in that, oh look, all these monkeys escaped, including the Freaky Monkey 5.
Yeah, and I remember sometimes I want to say they at least do things to spice the boss fights up, like they add a new move or something, but it has been a hot minute.
I think you're right. I think it does, like, make them, like, it's kind of like a bit of a hard mode, but not too hard.
Yeah. Which, admittedly, that's the thing games have been doing since, at the least, the NES era, technically maybe even Atari, because, like, Castlevania 1, 2, and 3, I think, when you beat the game. Oh, not 2. 1 and 3, when you beat the game, you load back in with some extra damage values or extra enemies placed all over the place. Second quest exists for Mario and Zelda. It's just... It's weird that now, during this particular era, we had a lot of times where that was effectively required for the true ending. When some games didn't exactly need that.
No.
Like, the closest thing we have to that nowadays, outside of some indie games, is, like, games that require beating hard mode as well for trophies or things like that. Which, while that makes a nice, shiny pinging sound, definitely feels like there's a lot less needed to go for with it, you know?
Doing about a bunch of stuff to get the true ending. I'm looking at you, Nier series.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love that series.
More games need to do what Automata did and just have a store for you to buy the more annoying trophies and achievements in the case you don't want to go through the process of doing all that. Like, hack this many enemies with 9S. I'm like, no, I'll just buy that. Thanks, I have enough credits. Now, if only I could have done that for weapon. Well, I guess I could have done that for weapon levels. I was just stubborn about it when I did the Automata Platinum. Oh, God!
Pippo-chi couldn't save you there.
Pausing and Pippo-chi won't save me. Oh, no. It's always funny remembering almost the exact movements you do when something like that happens in recording, because there's sometimes I take falls in games like this in recordings that I just remember almost like putting my controller down on my knees and just... as I debate re-recording that entire section because of that one dumb death. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. My perfectionism is still very much a thing in some recordings, but there's a case where it just isn't worth it.
No. No.
This is part of what we were talking about as well earlier on in the LP, where the new tools in this game are interesting, but they do lead to a lot of, like, stop-and-go level design, where it's just wait for the thing to come back. And that is a strength I really think 3 has for it, where because they kind of toned down the amount of stuff in that aspect to have the transformations instead, they got to do more interesting things.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's even incorporated in the boss fights, too.
Oh, yeah. Three boss fights are all so good.
Yeah.
I can't wait to revisit that game in, like, probably a year and a half to a year's time from now and be like, yeah, this is still one of my favorite PS2 games. There's a lot of lists that I like hearing from people across their time gaming. I think one of my favorites to hear is their favorite PS2 games, since that was such a vast library. You get some usual suspects like a Metal Gear Solid, a Final Fantasy from it, or a spin-off. But then you start getting the weird stuff that people had growing up, like, yeah, I played an imported copy of Magna Carta, and I couldn't read it, but it was really good.
Yeah, it's like I think back to when I was a kid and when rental stores were still a thing. And like I can still remember most of their PS2 collection that they had to rent. And it was like all kinds of like Final Fantasy and some obscure stuff too.
Yeah, my memories of, like, a nearby Blockbuster are largely, by the way, the only monkey in this stage we missed is in this goddamn UFO. This is my least favorite type of backtracking, because it's only one monkey I needed the thing for. Ah! But my memories are stuff like my local library more than my Blockbuster. Like, my Blockbuster, I got, like, Pokemon and Thousand Year Door from, I think. But my local library, I got, like, Destroy All Humans, TMNT Battle Nexus, Destroy All Humans 2... Battalion Wars on GameCube, but that disc was broken and I was sad.
Yeah, it was like when I think about too that like I couldn't play until I didn't play until I was well into adulthood. But stuck with me was when I saw Okage Shadow King in the rental store. And like that art style really stuck with me, but I wasn't allowed to rent it at the time.
Is that the one where it's relatively like the proportions of it always reminded me of like Shaman King's art style a little bit?
Yeah, it's like it has the young kid with the shadow demon.
And it's got like horns in the shadow.
Yeah, King Stan.
I think one of my other friends has talked about that a good bit. That's one I've always kind of meant to try out in retrospect. And hey, with the advent of how good PS2 emulation's getting nowadays, it's probably easy enough to do.
Mm-hmm.
Our final adventure in a repeated level, for the usual standards, is Moonbase, and both of the monkeys that are now here are effectively mini-boss types, because this guy's been added in here at this point, and then we have to go get the person frozen in.
Oh no, he's naked!
Good lord, he's naked! The one, I'm trying to figure out a way to make a pun that's combining Carbonite and Monkey in some form, but it's not really coming to me. Well, the Han Solo reference. Mega Monkey. Not exactly very mega, considering I took it out in like 3 hits, but oh well.
He's not so mega without his armor.
Yeah, at that point he's just rock. So, after we get this last monkey, we're not going straight into the final boss, because there's one other set of things I need to do for this LP to be a true 100%. And it's a revisit to something from Ape Escape 1, but I'll talk more about that once we get the last monkey. Do you need to do it? No, I wouldn't actually recommend it even. I'm just doing it to get the shiny 100% on that save file. But I want to say, at the least the last, like, 20 to 15%, I'll put the actual on-screen number, is tied to the best tier of things related to it. Which is kind of annoying, but it was also kind of common on the PS2. Because even Sly 1 had this, and I guess so did Crash 2, and, not Crash 2 and 3, just Crash 2 on the PS1. It was the Insane Collection that added in that regard.
I don't think Ratchet and Clank had that. But I may be wrong. It's been a long time since I revisited the first one.
Same here. That was another game I rented, actually, from the local library. Although, like I showed you this, I actually recently picked up a PS2 copy for like 15 bucks, and I was like, hey, that's cheap. I'm assuming the disc works. I haven't actually plugged it in the chest. But, oh well.
I'm sure it does.
I've talked about this a lot on stream side of things lately, but it's been weird the past couple of years, because I used to be really into collecting, like, older games, like retro outright or PS2 core stuff, but since especially the price of games that are new jumped up to like 70, I haven't been doing that as much because money.
Yeah, well, it doesn't help either that, like, I'm sure we've talked about this too on here, is the cost of retro games these days as well.
Yeah. Like, actually, I'm very curious. How much is Ape Escape 2 if I just Google it on eBay? I'm going to... let's take bets. I'm betting at least 50. USD, I should note.
I'd probably say about, like, 50 or 60.
55, 49, 49. Wow, I got that right on the goddamn nose.
Jimmy, my boy. We've finally discovered Spectre's whereabouts.
That's right. He's holed up in his base on the dark side of the moon. I've set the warp machine to get you there. We're counting on you.
Just be sure to watch yourself out there, okay?
Come back safe and sound. I'll pound you if you get yourself hurt.
No problem. Just you wait, Spectre. Come on, let's do it.
Beepo,
Yeah.
Alright, I hear you, Jimmy, but hear me out. I gotta go get 100% first.
Also, how did they discover Spectre was on the dark side of the moon?
Science? Question mark?
It just makes me think they looked through all the stages and then they were like, we've checked everywhere. We've checked absolutely everywhere. Oh, wait. Not the moon.
Over there! So, the save file was actually pretty much on the nose there, too. We're at 86%. I think the final boss maybe counts for 8% or 2. But the last 14% is entirely tied to the time trial thing you have seen on the stage select thing. It's, I think, effectively part 1 or 2. Time trials in this, in order to get the best percent of them, I think you actually do need to get the gold rank on them. But they work pretty much the same way they did in Ape Escape 1. You enter the stage, you need to catch a set amount of monkeys per stage within a certain time frame to get a certain rank. Collecting chips can pause the timer up to a certain amount of time, but there are monkeys that are faster to get than others. So just to get this out of the way, let's list what you need in order to get the gold ranks in every single stage. Here in Liberty Island, it's less than 35 seconds. In Breezy Village, it's less than 35 seconds. In Port Calm, it's 30 seconds. In Viva España, it's 35 seconds. In Blue Monkey Battle, because you do have boss fights as well to do in this, it's in less than a minute 10. In Castle Frightmare, it's less than 40 seconds. In Vita Z Factory, it's 15 seconds. In Casino City, it's 40 seconds. In the Ninja Hideout, it's 25 seconds. In the Yellow Monkey Battle, it's a minute 55. In Snowball Mountain, it's a minute 30. In Lookout Valley, it's 45 seconds. In the Blue Baboon, it's 40 seconds. In the Pink Monkey Battle, it's a minute 50. In Enter the Monkey, it's 15 seconds, largely because of those monkeys all grouped up at the start. In the Simian Citadel, it's a minute 15. In Panic Pyramid, it's 45 seconds. In the White Monkey Battle, it's a minute 55. In Pirate Isle, it's 50 seconds. In Land of the Apes, it's 1:10. And this guide that I was using for that does not have the entire list. Oh, no! YouTube, away! Shit, damn it. I should have checked that guide I was using for that beforehand. No! Sorry about that. I've had to actually scrub through my footage to get roughly the times I got for the last few. The Lost Valley looks like it's about 50 seconds or less. Red Monkey Battle's probably about the same, man, at 55. Skyscraper City looks like it's probably less than 30 seconds. Code Chimp is about a minute. Giant Yellow Monkey Battle is about 2 minutes. Moonbase is again about 2 minutes, 30 seconds, I would guess. And then the standard final boss we did at the end of the main campaign is about 3 minutes for a gold trophy by the looks. I'm only showing off the first few, though, just so you get a good idea of what you have to do. I think I did the same thing back in my Apescape 1 LP where I didn't show every single speedrun, because at this point, it's the same levels again with the same techniques applied, just, what's the word I want to use here? Improve your movement, streamline it. I did the same thing in the Crash games, even when they had speedruns to talk about. I'm not sure how I feel about locking true 100% behind this kind of deal, but at the same time, it's so quick at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
I do get that, though, because, what if there's, like, people that just don't want to do time trials? And, like, don't really like them or can't figure them out, and then it's like, oh, but you can't have 100% unless you do it.
Yeah, the one thing I can say that'll really help you, the main tools you should probably have around are obviously the net. Hula Hoop always, Magic, Punch always, especially for boss fights, because I think it does do more damage than the Saber does. But it's just a lot of improving yourself time and time again. I think there were a couple levels I just barely missed the gold time on the first try. But then I figured out, oh wait, if I jump over here instead, or grab these chips along the way, it'll help streamline what I'm trying to do and get things done more quickly. Annoying, yeah, but at the end of the day, it's not a big deal.
Monkey Blue almost long-lived the king you off that cliff.
Yeah, I was going, I was losing my shit. Alright, but with that though, we're gonna need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 14, we're going to show off the times we have for true 100% and then go off towards the final endgame. See you guys then.
See ya.